Look, I was fortunate. I got rich slow. you know, I was fortunate because I got to stay at that humble beginnings for a long period of time that I never forgot. And, I lived below my means and I studied the best. And they always said, you got to live so far below what you're making for a million reasons.
Welcome to Direct Selling Shift, an exclusive podcast by DSN. I'm your host, Blake Mallon, and this is where direct selling high performers and experts share their most powerful shifts in mindset, skill set, and strategy to help you accelerate your business and amplify your impact. I challenge you to be present, open your mind, and let the shift begin. So super excited about our guest today. After growing up on the East Coast, graduating from the University of Pittsburgh, found his way into the direct selling channel, now over 2 decades as an entrepreneur, helping people and families through this amazing industry. And he's not only achieved the top position in his company at a very early age, but has been ranked number 1 with him and his team for 17 years, having acquired over 300,000 customers. That is a massive impact. Him, his wife, his 2 boys, beautiful family now currently reside outside Dallas, Texas. He has a love for this industry. He believes it is time and it is here to go to the next level. Please help me welcome Patrick Mazer. Patrick, how you doing, brother?
Man, doing great. Great to be on here, and thanks for the opportunity to share today.
Well, thank you for making some time. I know you're leading a team growing across the globe, and so excited for our conversation today. I was doing some homework and reading about your background, and I saw that you grew up in a household where your parents were actually advocates of the channel, right? Building a direct selling business. I want to spend time on where we're at today and what you're up to today, but just take us back for a minute. What was it like growing up with parents, with a mom and dad that actually were in this channel? I'm curious.
You know what? I loved it. I mean, didn't know what it was at the time. I was a kid, so, you don't know quite what your parents are doing as far as employment goes, I guess. But the one thing that really was brought into our house, and especially at a young age, was positivity. You know what I mean? Personal development. Don't say can't, and all the things that, we teach people in this space. My parents were mentoring us, unbeknownst to us, to have a winning attitude and some of the principles that we teach people in this industry.
I love that. What were some of those principles? Like if you were to go back, I know it was early years, but if you were to go back, was there, one principle or 2 principles that really stand out of things that maybe your parents learned in this channel that were passed on to you at a young age?
Yeah, never get a job.
Were they up along with that? Like right from the beginning? Was that just direct?
Don't get a job. Like, do not waste your time. Do not, sell your soul to the corporate America. And I think it was a combination. My father was in the pharmaceutical industry and was there for 33 years. And unfortunately, as a lot of people in corporate America, as you get older, you become more of a liability just for all the reasons that we all know why. And he was let go. So I think that was, as I was graduating college, it was really don't do what I did. Don't go for the good corporate job, because he always did the networking on the side. It was sort of the supplemental. It gave us the little extras. It gave us the little motor home or the extra vacation, just some of the things that my friends didn't have, if you will, from a parent that, worked a corporate job.
It's fascinating because most of us, we grow up with the opposite, right? We grow up with parents that maybe follow the traditional path. For me, that was definitely the case. So like nowhere did I ever get that advice from my mom or my dad of like be an entrepreneur. So, even as direct as they gave it to you, I mean, I'm sure that put you on a different path. I think you studied business in college then, right? So did you know going through college that like business entrepreneurship, like that was the path you were going to take?
Yeah, absolutely. Knew without a question I was going to be self-employed. And look, to my parents' credit, I will tell you, as we all go through the ups and downs, and look, nobody starts at the top, and the last thing to show up in business is money. And you know what I mean? You're sleeping on couches and you're living on practically no money. But to have that, hey, it's okay, and you're not far away from making it, and just keep on the path. And you know what I mean? Just having that especially if it's your parents, you know what I mean? If your parents say something, it's like God saying something. So, it really helped me to get through that first handful of years when, we weren't making money and it wasn't, a great opportunity financially. So that was a big opportunity. That was a big lesson for us also to have, parents that were encouraging, even though we weren't having success.
Yeah. So when did you make the leap, right? So you grew up in a household where at least you saw, right, what dad was doing, what your parents were
Yep.
doing. When did you decide to make the leap into direct selling for yourself?
So did a couple years, just traditional businesses, merchandising, car wash, things along those lines, mobile car wash, cutting grass, things that were, pretty simple to start, pretty low overhead cost to get into. But because I was exposed to network marketing, I was always fascinating with the residual income opportunity. And, as you hear the conversation, it doesn't really make sense until you work a couple of years in a traditional business where there's no residual income. And so you're sort of looking at the future thinking, well, it's great when you're in the 20s. You can do all kinds of great stuff in the 20s. I'm thinking, when I'm 50, do I really want to be doing the same thing? And, that's when it really came back to looking at network marketing.
So how old were you, if you don't mind me asking, when you made the leap, when you first got started?
I was 20. I was 28.
28. That is amazing. So 28, you make the jump. You dabbled as an entrepreneur, traditional businesses, but then ended kind of back in the direct selling channel, which is awesome. And if I understand your story correctly, is it 23 years in the channel?
Yeah, the 23 years, same company, same opportunity. Fortunate in that regard to find one that agreed with me, and I agreed with it, and we were able to do something great together.
Well, I just want to honor you and pause just for there, because that's 23 years, not only in the industry, but you said same company, right? So 23 years, same place, same company. Obviously, 23 years is a long period for anybody. The world changes. I'm sure the company you're a part of changes, right? There's a lot of evolution for anybody in any organization over 23 years. So the fact that you've stayed the course and stayed focused and done what you've done for that long, I just want to say it's all too rare today. So that's amazing. On that note, I guess I'm curious, is there any tips you would give to the ability to stay focused in one lane and one thing for that long?
And I think that also came back to, building businesses before and understanding your first 5 years, and any business is really just trying to, make it 5 years. You know what I mean? If you talk to somebody that's starting a restaurant or, any business, like, what's the goal? Be here 5 years from now. You know what I mean? Because that's the death zone in business, is the first 5 years. Statistically proven, most businesses don't make it after 5 years. Number two, and look, this is why I love this industry, Blake, is personal development. I mean, where can you go and get personal development like you can in the network or direct sales industry? That was the part that, kept me alive, if you will. I was eating personal development along the way.
I love that. And I love what you just said, right? And I'm sure that's something that's a philosophy for you. I'm sure that's a philosophy you impart on the new members that join your team. But 5 years is normal. In normal business, 5 years, yeah, make it 5 years. But especially now more than ever, it feels like it's hard for some people to stay focused for 5 minutes, right? Let alone 5 years and where we're at. So I love that analogy. I'm just curious, through all that time, it couldn't have all been highs. Like 23 years, I couldn't have all been just this perfect upward trajectory forever. So like, was there ever a time where you were in a moment where you did think about quitting or pausing or going a different direction?
I always put myself in a position where I couldn't quit. You know what I'm saying? So I lived in 12 different cities. I moved city to city, so I did some things over the years to put myself in a position where, burn the boats. There's no plan B. There's only plan A. Plan B's refer back to plan A. So, you know what I mean? I just intentionally made sure that I was, always in that place. Now, did I have doubt? Absolutely. And was there worry, comparison? My buddies were getting jobs and buying little houses and, sort of starting their life. And here I am, 29 years old, 31 years old, and I'm still, out there chasing a dream and not having a lot of evidence that dream is anywhere close to reality yet.
would you think someone getting started in the channel today, like, is that the type of expectation you think they should create? I mean, is it a, hey, if I'm getting started today, give it 5 years, or I'm getting started today, plan that this is going to be a multi-decade thing? What philosophy or just perspective do you give a brand new person joining the channel today?
Look, I look at if you and I want to become a doctor, right? It's 4 years of undergraduate, it's 4 years of medical school, it's 2 years of residency. So, you know what I mean? We would be willing to give up 10 years of our life just for the skill set to be able to go out and practice medicine. Now, not including the, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that we would also be in along the way to get that skill set to go out and actually start to now make money. So I sort of give those type of analogies of like, look, if there's a difference between an amateur and a professional, what's beautiful about our industry is you don't have to be all in and, go to the top and, hit the top position. My parents didn't, they were not the $1 million earners, if you will, in the direct sales industry, but it gave them a lot of things that they couldn't have got 9 to 5. So, you know what I mean? I just think for anybody, when you get started, it's sort of, what do you want this to be? And then let's set a plan accordingly. No different in sports. If you want to get paid to play professionally, well, then we're going to train you one way. If you just want to have some fun and exercise and hang out with your buddies and go through school and, dabble in sports, well, great. There's a whole nother opportunity for people like that as well.
I'm curious because obviously you're driven, right? I mean, you built the number one team in your company, which is a large company, and it's one thing to hit number one once. It's another thing to hit number one and stay at number one over the duration that you have, right? So, I mean, you're an achiever, you're a performer, you're a leader, you're driven. I'm just curious, as you look through your 23 years from when you first got started to where you're at today, has your motivation or personal desire always come from the same place? Has it always been focused on the same thing? Or has that evolved? Have you had to tap into different levels of desire to keep yourself going at the level you're going?
Well, Blake, you're a great interviewer. I'll tell you that. You come up with some great questions, and look, it did change. You know what I mean? At first, is get out of debt and run as hard as you can, and you're here to get some of the stuff that we know this industry can give you. But then once you achieve that, then it becomes a little more introspection and more about, okay, I see myself in other people. I see myself in that guy that just got started, that girl that said, man, is this going to work for me? And you almost have a responsibility, you know what I mean? Of like, hey, when I was new and I looked at somebody that was 20 years in the industry, I was thinking how great it would be where they are. And, how terrible it would have been if that person didn't come back down the mountain and grab me by the hand and show me the road to the top. So I think that responsibility sort of changed for me. I'm here more of a gratitude, if you will, what the industry did for me. A couple $100 to get started. I mean, come on. I mean, it costs more to buy a weed eater than it does to get in this industry. And, nobody's out bragging about a weed eating business in America. So I think to your point, yeah, things definitely change. Motivation and all that other stuff changes for sure.
And I find that's pretty consistent amongst leaders, right? As it starts with a desire, maybe that's focused around self, which is okay, right? The get out of debt or money or things or objects or the chip on the shoulder, and all of that is good and can work. And at some point, it kind of transitions to what you're describing, right? It's about the team, the people, the community. I love the analogy you said of just someone did it for you, right? So you got to turn around and give someone the hand. And I think you have two young boys now, yeah?
Yeah. Now I'm a dad and loving, all that this industry also brings just from a freedom perspective. It can be there. I was at a mission trip with my son. That's why we were just in time for us to get together, just because there was a mission trip and, I want a mission trip with my boys. I mean, what a cool experience for me, for sure.
How old are your boys now?
I got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
I love it. We're similar. So my son's 7. My daughter will turn 5 here in the next couple months. So kind of similar chapter of life, which is great. I'm curious, as a newer dad, I mean, it's still a new dad, right? I mean, you're in kind of the new season of life. Did becoming a dad and being in the season you're in, did anything change in that desire level, that motivation level, or even how you approach building your business from kind of pre-fatherhood to post-fatherhood?
Yes, it without a question. I think, it's also realizing that, now you got a legacy. You know what I mean? Now you're creating something that, is going to outlive you. And I think also being a little more passionate about wanting, parents to get into the industry because of the personal development. I look at myself as a father, we're listening to Jim Rohn on the way to school, Jim, because he's such a great, simple, bread for your head. Don't be a lazy learner. Some of the cool things that we've listened to over the years, and now I have my son listen to on the way to school. But I'm passionate about getting families the opportunity to create an environment for their children to win, and I think that's one thing this industry does such a great job of, is putting it back to personal development, putting it back to growing as a human being. And that's the gift that this industry gave me.
I love that. And even just hearing you share your story of your father, right, giving you a belief system, right, to be an entrepreneur, and here we are, and here you are, and the ripple of impact that belief he gave to you, now through you, you're having to so many people across the world. I'm curious, like just a couple of things, like what are you doing for your boys? Is there any specific principle? I love Jim Rohn, by the way. I mean, Jim Rohn is a master. I mean, is there anything that you're kind of conscious of the way you're bringing up your boys, or the belief system you're trying to build? I'm curious the approach.
It's great because you have sort of a relaxed intensity. You know what I mean? I don't have that nervousness that maybe I had when I started, and all the uncertainty. I'm more of a relaxed person. I sort of see how things fall together, and, being a little more patient, if you will. And what I'm seeing also is finding what they like, and, having the resources to give them the opportunity to go into something because that's where their interest lies, where maybe, without this industry, number one, it might not even be aware of that, creating an environment for them to win at whatever that is they choose. But also, giving them that, that mental toughness, if you will, this industry has to bring. Like, hey, look, everybody's, you got to get up when you fall down, and you got to continue to move forward. And, it's not going to be as fun as it was when you first started, but the fun comes when you master something, as we put our children into things, and it's like, it's not fun anymore. Just give it a little more time, because you get better at it. And as you get better at it, it becomes fun again. It was fun because it was new, then you're bad and it's not fun anymore. But when you become better at it, it becomes fun again.
I love it. It's just great nuggets for all of us, whether you're someone that's just getting started in the industry right now, or you're someone going through the seasons and the shifts of desire, or you are a parent today. I mean, all of it really does change perspective, and it can create that type of wisdom to pass through. And you see, we have Patrick here that's done it through all the levels and all the seasons. And, Patrick, one thing I know, 23 years, right? One company, different seasons of life, different seasons of the economy, different seasons of a company, different seasons of a channel. I know you have a tremendous perspective, right? And you've been able to play at the highest level through all those shifts and seasons. And, kind of one of the main themes of why DSN is launching this podcast, which is a big step for DSN. Now cultivating, right, the distributor communities around the world, bringing the professionalism into the distributor communities, is because we are in a time of shift, right? We're in a time of change. We're in a time of velocity. And it does feel different than maybe what we've experienced in the past, what's happening in the world, what's happening in our channel, and how we're like adapting and thriving as leaders today to continue to make the impact we're making. So I'm just curious, like if you were to look at today, the season we're in right now, what are some of the shifts that maybe are a little different today that you're seeing as a leader in the field, in your community, that maybe are a little different than what you were seeing or feeling 2 years ago, let alone 5 or 10 years ago? What would some of those shifts be?
Well, first of which, just Zoom. You know what I mean? Like, let's just introduce that idea. I mean, I was living room legend. I was, living room to living room, city to city, airplane to airplane, hotel to hotel. And I knew, when I would introduce people to this, and if they go, hey, I want to be where you are, that's a lot of commitment. I mean, that is, missing things, and family reunions and weddings and birthday parties, and all of those are off the table. If you're truly out there, no different if I played in the NFL, guess what? New city, got a game this week, travel day before. So now that we have it online, that people can actually live in Montana and build a big business in Dallas, Texas, has been such a gift. And I know that, nobody will experience what you have, in your 20 plus years, or what I have, kitchen tables and, all kinds of coffee shops around the United States. And so I see this hybrid. I see this online. I like to look at Zoom sort of like Bumble. You're paging through until you find someone you like, and you're like, I like you. Let's get together. Let's do something big. And just the velocity that you can go through people to find that person with their hand in the air that you're really looking for. You just didn't know they lived in Arkansas.
I love that. Yeah, living room legend. You are a living room legend. And now to Zoom legend, like Bumble. It's fun. So go deeper on that one, right? So we're using technology today to reach people we maybe would not have reached in the past at a pace maybe we never could have reached them before. How are you deepening the connection when you find that swipe left or swipe right? It's been a while since I've been on a dating app. So when you find the person that hey, this person has it, like, what are you doing to deepen that connection in a virtual world?
Look, I rely on the live events. Now, we used to do these probably like anybody in the industry. These were weekly meetings, Saturday trainings, and we would get together and do maybe multiple of those on a weekly basis, depending on the part of the country. So now we shifted out of that into every 60 days, having a big event. And what's so great about the big events is, one, a lot of the rudimentary information we can get out of the way on Zoom. And now we can have a better opportunity to get to know one another, build a deeper relationship, create a true friendship with the people that we're working with, because we're not having to put them in a chair from 9 a.m. till 9 at night, because we got to get everything in their head, because there's no other way for them to get the information. I mean, I'm sure audios. I mean, how many did you listen to? Cassettes. I mean, I watch cassettes to CDs to now YouTube. So information's available for us to give to people. But I love the live events, because now it's hey, let's get a chance to break bread together. Let's get a chance to start, laying out a path of success and what we can do together to achieve those goals.
I love that. I love the way you kind of framed it, right? We can use technology to deliver information, education, right? Probably more effectively and efficiently than ever before,
Sure.
Which creates space to maybe approach when we do get together to do something a little different or get a little different outcome. So go even deeper there. What type of live events? Like, are you doing things at kind of a social local level? Are you doing things at kind of a regional formal level? Are you waiting for the big national level? What are you doing there that's maybe different to deepen connection? How has that environment shifted to kind of, again, create the community that you're looking for?
So a couple of things. One, we're doing more of those smaller events building up to a big event. You know what I mean? And in those smaller events, it's the luncheons, it's the breakfast of champions. It's the opportunity for us to get together, spend some time, get to know each other, and as mentioned, not be so conscious of, oh, well, we've got to do a whole day of training. Look, we can do a half day of training and spend the other half recreational and just having fun and getting to know each other and really bonding up with your team. And I love that part. Like, to me, this is the most special time to be in network marketing, because all the negatives are gone. What's the negative? Hey, he doesn't want to hear what I have to say. Good, click off the Zoom. Like, you know what I mean? Done. You didn't drive 6 hours for a bad meeting and then drive 6 hours home thinking about the bad meeting you just had. I mean, this is the Renaissance age of network marketing or direct sales. I mean, I see this as clear just because of the perspective of where we came from and what we're seeing now. And look, prior to the pandemic, could you imagine home-based business is the number one trending thing on Google when a pandemic hits? And the whole world said, I want to work from home. And then they experienced working from home, and then they came in and kicked them out of the living room and said, get back to the office. So it's almost like we had to walk to school every day, and one person picked us up and took us in a car and let us enjoy that for 2 years. Then they said, okay, you're back to walking. Well, no, I don't want to walk anymore. I want to go back to that car. That was a really good experience.
You just gave me so many flashbacks on so many drives for so many hours for so many horrible meetings. But it's the truth, right? Now we can filter, faster than ever. It is better than ever, and get to the individuals that really have the desire to move right in the direction that we're moving. I love what you just said. I think any listener at any level can get value from that of, okay, how do we use technology to deliver the information, to sort is essentially what you're saying. And then how do we create environments, whether it be the local lunch, right, or the local social, to deepen connection? And it can be experiential, it can be social. It doesn't have to be, like you said, what it used to be back in the day of like all the training and information. So I love the way you kind of frame that. And, I guess maybe one more step in that direction, Patrick, like maybe someone that's listening doesn't have a company that is doing this right now. Like maybe, some companies that they have live events happening, right, that you can plug into. Some maybe are coming off, especially pandemic in this virtual world, so that the corporation isn't necessarily organizing these yet. So what would you say to the distributor out there that is listening to you, wants to create connection at some level, maybe doesn't have a full event calendar to fill? What could they do to start moving in that direction to create those relationships? What advice would you give?
Look, and I'm sure we used to do barbecues, right? Before we had any money. Well, what did we say? Hey, Saturday night, bring your family. We're all going to the park, bringing some charcoal. We're putting some hot dogs on the grill. We're going to hang out and get to know each other. So, I think there's a lot of things people can do without spending a lot of money, if you will, or spending nominal amounts of money, but creating the environment for people to get around you. Because as a networker, you got to realize that you are such a force of positivity. You know what I mean? Like, you don't understand. You're disrupting people with your attitude, right? You're a beam of light. Hey, it doesn't matter how bad things are. We're not going to stay here for long. We're going somewhere else. And I think you could do that on every level, even to rent an Airbnb, somewhere, and tell everybody, come on in and let's go spend a couple days together, or 2 days or 1 day, just getting together. There's so much value. And I think people are yearning for that after 2 years of sitting in the house, like no more Netflix, no more. So, let's go meet, let's go get together. Let's go, spend some time together.
Patrick, I think you're spot on. And I know some people will listen to this and be like, oh, that just sounds too simple. Like, hey, let's get together for a barbecue or a social. But guys, community is what the whole world has been deprived of the last couple of years. Therefore, community, connection, relationship is higher value today than ever. And it's been weird. It's almost like people have forgotten how to reconnect. So I love the advice. If you get the barbecue, get the social, and be positivity. You said positivity is a disruption. Like, be positive. The world needs it right now. Let's talk about recruiting, and if there's one thing I know about what you've done, right, consistently for 23 years, what your team has done, is that has been a focus, right? That has been something you've excelled at, is building a team behind the movement and mission you guys are passionate about. What shifts have you seen today when it comes to just recruiting, creating attraction, having the conversations that maybe are a little different than what you've seen in the past?
It's just easier, you know what I mean? Because there's so many more channels to get people. Look, I'm sure you probably can relate. I remember going to the supermarket and taking every single, card off the bulletin board, or right, going to the restaurant and putting your hand right in the fish bowl and calling every single business card, because that's our job. Our job is to start a conversation. That's our entire job. And now that you can do it with, social media, and hey, I see we're following the same person. Let's jump on a Zoom. Do you have a calendar? I'm on LinkedIn, and Blake, I'm sure your listeners can acknowledge, I get 1,000 people, I think, a year that are reaching out to me about whatever. And the only thing I say is, do you have an online calendar? That's it. And everybody has an online calendar, so I can set my day according to when I want to sit in front of that person. And you reached out to me, and I let them talk for a couple minutes, and great, sounds like you probably got something special. Can I show you what I do for work? And next thing you know, I'm asking them if they're ready to get started. You know what I mean? Like, it's never been easier. It's so easy to get a hold of people right now.
So if I'm getting started and I'm brand new, like, maybe it's the time with the economy, maybe it's just the time in my life, but I'm ready to press go. And I look to someone like you at the level you're playing at. I'm like, I want to be you, right, when I grow up. What advice do you give to someone like me when it comes to the recruiting conversation, the attraction conversation? Where do I start? What do I do? What's the kind of best tips you would give?
Look, we spent a lifetime making connections. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be from family to neighbors to associates at church to, to people we went to school with. And they're so accessible now because of all the ways that we can get back in front of people. Look, prior to the internet, when you and I were out there, remember, we were here before the internet, right? So could I tell you where all my graduating class was? Absolutely not. I probably couldn't tell you where more than 10 of them were, just because light, obviously changes the way that, we're able to stay in touch with people. Today, that's gone. You know what I mean? I went to my Facebook group with my class of like 96, like, hey, what's everybody up to? So if I'm starting over new, I would say the first thing I'd want to do is I would want the people the closest to me to hear about it first. And the reason for that is because they care more about you. And I had a gentleman tell me one time, he got into real estate, and he said his mentor told him, make a list of everybody that would come to your funeral. Now, if they would come to your funeral, take a day off work, whatever the travel will be, they're going to at least give you a referral, right? Meaning maybe not join your business, maybe not even support your service or product, which is okay. That's just the reality of business and life. But they probably would, give you somebody if positioned the right way. Hey, it's not for me, but funny enough, my brother-in-law was saying something yesterday about looking for some extra income. So I would go to my hot market first, and that's people that would probably go to your funeral, and then, naturally start moving into that warmer market of people that maybe you have a relationship with, but they probably didn't come to your Thanksgiving. So that would be my first start. And I would just talk about an expert. The one beautiful part about our industry is you can earn while you learn. And what I mean by that is if I have a Blake as my leader, my job is just to put people in front of you and be okay with being new. And I think people genuinely like when you say, I don't have all the details and let's learn together. And I'm looking at this now and I'd love to learn more about it. Why don't you come look at it with me and let's look at it together? Because wouldn't you say that to your friend anyway, if you're going to buy an apartment building or buy a house, you'd say, well, let's go look at it together, right? Let's go check it out together. So that would be my advice. And I think it's so easy today because of Zoom that they don't have to live in your zip code, where that was the case when we started.
I love that. So we're utilizing technology today just to reconnect with people that we have had or still have some sort of connection with. And again, it sounds simple, but I know so many people, the first thing they're like, well, what do I go post so I can attract people I don't know? Where if you're really passionate about what you're promoting or talking about, like if you really believe in it, you're going to go to the people you care about with most, and you can use technology to reach and expand that circle. So I love that. What about, from a fear standpoint, Patrick, like, not everybody has like the confidence, the certainty. Maybe they believe in what they're talking about, but there's something for some reason that's holding them back, a fear that's holding them back. What are the biggest fears that you see people face that we have to overcome to have success in this style of business?
Look, I sadly, a lot of people that have a lot of success in this industry have their back against the wall. And, I read somewhere the other day was talking about depression, and he was like, yeah, that's a first world issue. Like if you're in a third world country, you're not allowed to be depressed because you got to go find clean water and, get food for your family. So not, I don't feel well, or, what are people going to think? That's a first world situation, not a third world situation. So, a lot of people, as over the years who've had a lot of success in this industry, unfortunately had their back against the wall, and it was either make it happen or, go into receivership or, foreclosure or whatever the situation may be. So I would say just, you got to read, you got to listen to personal development. You got to really spend time for you to understand that everybody starts that place. Abraham Lincoln started, Booker T. Washington. Everybody started at the same place of not feeling enough, not feeling that they were the one, not feeling that they could make a big difference, but they stayed in the conversation of personal development.
Well, let's go deeper there, because you've mentioned that word a couple of times. You said that was huge for you, right? It's what attracted you and kept you in the game. That's the thing you got from your dad. That's the thing you're passing on to your kids, right? That's the thing now you're saying that keeps us in the game to get over the fears we have. Let's just go deeper on personal growth and development. Like what was your protocol, your personal program, your personal routine when you were first getting started? What does that look like today? Like if I'm just getting introduced to the whole concept of growing myself, where would you point me?
Look, I personally love Think and Grow Rich. It's a book that, I have 100 copies at all times for people that I, bump into, or, hey, listen, you got a little, little glimmer in your eye. Good. Let's go study some other people that started probably more negative than you did and went on to become the success stories that we still know of today, the Henry Fords and, the JP Morgans and all the other names out there. So I think, for me, it's really showing people that leaders are readers and that you got to read. And I went through college without reading and, graduated without I didn't read a book until network marketing came into my life, until my mentor was like, hey, you go to sleep when you can't turn another page, like your car's a, mobile university, and here's a stack of things you can listen to. And this podcast is one of them. The fact that you guys as an industry have a podcast that somebody could hear all these top people share their information for free. Normally, as you and I know, remember growing up, coming in the industry, people used to charge big money to get into a room with somebody who made a bunch of money in this industry to sit at their feet and take some notes. Now they're giving it away for free. You don't even need to pay for the information. So it's just a different world. But like anything, you've got to remember it's a skill set. You're learning a skill set on how to communicate and how to connect and how to show people, not how much you know, but how much you care. You know what I mean? It's the hard business.
Outside of Think and Grow Rich, what would be 2 other books you'd recommend someone who wants to make it in this channel big has to read?
Look, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, I would say read that twice, right? Because chapter 1 is never argue, and everybody needs to read that one twice. Like, don't argue about anything, even if they're 100% wrong. Don't argue. So, if you look at the power of positive thinking, Norman Vincent Peale, these are books that people reference that went on to write other books, but they reference those books. They are the books that were foundational when it came to personal development. I still listen to Earl Nightingale. I mean, he's still his voice. He's still a great orator. He has great information. It's timeless. I mean, there's so many great people. What I loved about the industry is the Jim Rohn, people quote him every day that are traditional business owners, not knowing that he was an Herbalife rep.
Yep.
And then all those talks are him in front of an Herbalife audience, sharing personal development to an Herbalife company. And it's just amazing. And, people quote him now that have no idea that that's how he became so great, is by being in this industry for decades.
I love it. I love the, just the surgence right now of short form content. And, I'm like you, I'm a fan of still, I'm not going to call them the oldies. It's the goodies, the classics, the icons. I mean, all the ones that you're mentioning. And I do agree that needs to be on everybody's required reading list for this channel, for your life. But I'm also a fan of going down a TikTok wormhole. I'll sit down there and, go down TikTok short form fast. And I love it because Jim Rohn has this whole new life on TikTok. You got all the little Jim Rohn 15-second, 30-second, 60-second motivational music. I'm like, there's Jim. He lives on. So however you consume it, we got to be doing it. Personal growth's a staple. And, Patrick, you've gone from the student, right, to now, the leader, the teacher, the one that transfers, right, this information, this wisdom, this experience to a lot of families, to a lot of people at a big level. Talk to me about that, that transition to the leader, to the teacher, what that means for you, and maybe any advice you want to give for leaders that are listening to this that are in a place where they can actually pass that wisdom on to others today.
Look, and I know this is probably the same for you as it is for me. We're still followers. You know what I mean? We're still the greatest followers out there, even though we're in a positions of authority, if you will, in this industry. I'm 100% coachable to my mentors and people that can bestow great information on me. And I'm always extremely humble. The great thing about network marketing or direct sales is it keeps you humble. Because it doesn't matter how much success you have, you're still going to get the no. You're still going to get the person that's going to tell you all the why it's not going to work and all the things that all of us have to experience. So there's always humility to this industry, because the greatest of all was the greatest server of all. And that every single leader that made it to the top and stayed at the top were always the most humble, the most approachable, the person that was willing to go out there and do whatever it took. And that's the part I really love most is although you have all these great accolades that come along with your title and success, you also have to put that in your back pocket when you go to the marketplace.
How do you do that? Because I agree, right? Humility, I mean, it's a staple. The higher you climb, the more humble you need to be, but easier said than done. I know you and I could probably both have endless lists of people that we know that made it to the top that couldn't stay grounded and in an ultimately remove them from the top. And it's easier said than done. Any advice that you have on what you've been able to do to try to keep the feet on the ground, try to keep humility high, try to keep that ego in check while you're on major stages, living, the lifestyle, achieving the dreams that people want? Like, how do you balance that?
Look, I was fortunate. I got rich slow. I was fortunate because I got to stay at that humble beginnings for a long period of time that I never forgot. And, I lived below my means and I studied the best. And they always said, you got to live so far below what you're making for a million reasons, and the nice stuff doesn't get you more people in your business. I recruited as many people in a 1983 Escort GT than I do with one of the nicest cars that, you can buy in America. And again, I recruit the same amount of people. So as much as you would think, oh, that's going to make a difference, it just makes you feel good. That's all it does. It makes you feel good when you leave and you get in your beautiful vehicle. But outside of that, it's nothing to do with us. It's always has to do with who you're talking to.
I love that. I was fortunate or blessed enough to get rich slow. That might be one of my favorite lines, because we all want the opposite, right? We all, it doesn't matter what you say. We all want the opposite. But we don't realize it's actually a blessing to go through the work. It's a blessing to take the journey. It's a blessing as you learn along the way. You don't make the mistakes when you get there. And I've never heard someone say, hey, this stuff doesn't get you more people in your business, makes you feel better, but doesn't get you more people in your business. That is an ultimate truth. Amazing wisdom and insight. What I'm hearing through all your answers, Patrick, yes, we go through disruptions. Yes, we go through change. Yes, we go through shift. Technology, we got to adapt, right? How we recruit, how we utilize the tools, what it means when we get together. Like, that's all real. Like, we gotta adapt, we got to reinvent, we got to make those shifts to stay relevant. But I'm also hearing in your answers like the foundations, right? Personal growth and development, community. And I guess an overarching is just people. So like, talk to me about that. Like, how do you keep the main thing where at the end of the day, it's about the people. It's about, it's about the relationships. It's about the heart. What's your perspective on that?
Look, I agree. Some people come in that have already paid a price somewhere else and, they have success. We all want that to happen for all of us in our organization, having a superstar come in. But most people need to be germinated. Most people like me have to, spend time, I want to say in the dirt. I was being planted, you know what I mean? I was growing and it took time for that to happen. So being patient with people, and sometimes the ones that aren't producing today will be your greatest producers long-term, just because it took them time to overcome the fear of public speaking or overcome the fear of picking up the phone or presenting or whatever that, maybe is slowing them down today. They're going to grow too. And, my experience with that is just making sure that you give everybody enough time to grow. If you want to get more, do more, but you don't have to necessarily make them feel like they're not doing enough. I create an environment where I get what I can. I give them as much fertilization as I can. But if I want to grow faster, I can personally go do that. I can go do presentations. I can sit down and say, look, I'm going to do 5 presentations a day. And I know in 30 days of 5 presentations a day, after 30 days, I'm going to have a whole nother group of people to go work with while I let my establishing team go through the natural growth that all of us have to go through along the way.
Well, it creates the right expectation, right? So like, if I'm just connecting some of the dots you're saying from the very beginning, the expectation of 5 years, right? As being short, you give anything 5 years, right? But most people aren't staying focused for 5 minutes, right? If it doesn't work in 5 weeks, they're out of the game. To, get rich slow, it's a blessing. It takes time to do the personal growth. All these things that you're saying, it's real, number one, right? It's what it really takes. But more so, you are imparting through your example an expectation that people can achieve. Where this industry, at least the last, I don't know how many years, it's almost given a wrong expectation. Like we give the expectation because of Instagram and what we're showing on our stories and the lifestyle and what's possible, which is all possible. It's all great, but it creates that wrong expectation. And then when people don't achieve it next week or next minute, they feel like they're failures. Would you say that is a key to 17 years as number one rather than number one for a minute? Like, is that one of the big keys? Just like real expectation. Kind of give us some perspective there, because that's what I'm hearing in all your answers.
Without a question. Look, I mean, sadly to say, people spend more time in a bad relationship than they do in the industry. I've watched people commit more time to a bad relationship that we all knew was never going to go anywhere, and then spent 10 minutes at a good opportunity and decided that they were going to opt out. So you know what I mean? My experience with that is just knowing that there's good people out there. They're looking for what we have. I meet people every day that know nothing about this industry. I like business owners personally because this is business owners' fantasy land. We like, this is a fantasy for business owners. So as I meet business owners and they see all of the upside of the industry, there's no downside. The downside is owning a restaurant and a pandemic shut you down. The downside is, can't keep an employee. The downside is you're now making the burgers because nobody else wants to do it. There's so many downsides with traditional business. And when they have a little perspective, it's sort of like why immigrants get rich in America, because they have a different perspective. They come here looking for opportunity, looking for businesses, been here for 10 minutes and already have a business, where people lived here their whole life and never once owned a business.
I mean, so valuable and refreshing. And I hope everybody that's hearing this conversation is really absorbing this, because it's what works long term, right? It's what works long term, and that's what we're here for. Patrick, you've been through seasons, not only in life but seasons in the world, right? And we're in a season right now where the narrative, right, soft economy, recession around the corner, and I know you. I mean, you've been through similar environments in the past. I mean, I remember when the world was saying the same things in end of 2008, 2009, Lehman Brothers. Like, it feels like a very similar period. What's going through your mind right now when it comes to the season we're in, the timing within the channel, the timing of where people are at, as we're here at this point with all this language in the air around recession and soft economy around the corner?
Look, in our industry, we explode during bad economies because you got to find somebody interested in looking at other ways of making money, or interested to, diversify their income, or learn a new skill set, or create a secondary stream of income. And unfortunately, people don't look for those until they have to. There's a lot of shoulds. I should work out. I should get a secondary business. I should learn a new skill set. It's not until the must comes in. Hey, my wife just got downsized. Hey, my husband, there's a third round of layoffs happening. Hey, AI's coming. All of these uncertainties that now people are experiencing allow for this industry to grow, because you're going to get more yeses based on the timing that you're involved. I mean, it's easy to make money selling umbrellas in a rainstorm. And that's really what we have in this industry. Is uncertainty allows for us to grow because we have the ability to give them something that they can make money today at. Like, they can go out, retail a product, sell a service, actually go make money today, instead of, hey, having to get prepared to make money as you normally have to do in a traditional business.
So true. And I know you told me kind of offline when we were just chatting, I think one of your fastest growth seasons was through the last recession. Did I hear that right?
Oh, absolutely. Exploded. I mean, we were filling stadiums and hotel. I remember our meeting grew to a point where we would be like, look, if you're not getting in today, please leave, because we have people in the hallway that want to sign up today. And so I see that same season upon us. I think this industry is going to go through a massive uptick. And with Zoom, you're going to be able to attract people in Montana and Louisiana, maybe places that we never had a big presence. You will be able to really scale just because you're going to do it online.
I'm just reflecting as I'm listening to you talk. Like, my personal biggest momentum season in my 23-year career was the exact same. It was 2009, 10, 11. It was the post-recessionary environment. It was the acceleration season. I didn't personally connect the macro, the feelings of where people are at now, the need, like you said, that's coming, times technology. So I mean, times the technology that we're in right now that allows us to increase reach, increase exposure, increase frequency at magnitudes we've never seen, which means I love it. It's a season of acceleration. So for those of you guys listening, like maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're just ready to go to the next level, or maybe you're considering like now's your time and you're listening to this to get those nuggets. Guys, we're in the season to go. Patrick, before I do want to get your kind of closing thoughts on anything that's in your mind, before I do that, I want to do a quick rapid fire round. So I'm a big believer in shifts. Like, I think everything starts with a perspective shift. I've heard some in your language that your dad gave to you, that now you give to leaders, that you're giving to your kids. Like, you shift to perspective, it can change everything. So I just want to do a quick rapid fire. There's no right or wrong answer, just first thing that comes to mind. Just kind of ask you about 3 kind of perspective shifts. First question is, like, what's the largest belief shift you personally went through? Like, you told yourself, saying one thing to saying something different that has helped you get to where you are today.
When I submitted to my purpose, when I quit wanting it, when I realized that I'm going to have it, it's mathematically impossible to fail, that there's no, you know what I mean, where my desire for wanting it had left because I already felt like it was going to happen. Even though the evidence wasn't there, mentally I had submitted to my purpose. Like, this is going to happen, just like there's going to be sunshine tomorrow and dark at night. This is going to happen.
I love that. Now, what about the brand new distributor, person that just got started in this moment, has their vision, has their dream, has clarity, they know what they want? What belief shift would you give to them? You say they need to go from telling themselves this to that to excel in this model.
I would say it's all about what you're listening to, what you're reading, because this is an internal opportunity. It's what you feel on the inside, you're going to see on the outside. We can't give that to you. You got to give that to yourself. You got to OD on personal development. Like, you've got to literally overdose on personal development. Like, I should be able to come to your house and without a question know that you are on a path of personal development, because I'm tripping over books and I see all kinds of things written on the wall on your dream board. And you're just, the stronger that you get, the more magnetic you get, the more things just come to you because of your posture of strength, that you're sticking it right in your ear and right through your eyes on what you're looking at and what you're listening to.
I love it. And this last one's kind of idealistic, but I think about the power of this channel, right? I mean, you look at just what you and your team do on a day-to-day basis and the community you lead, which is a massive community. But then you think about the company, but then you think about all the companies and you think about the whole channel. And I don't know this number, but the amount of people our channel can impact, every distributor, rep, consultant, whatever term the company uses, right? It's a lot of people all across the world. It might be one of the largest, most influential, communities in the world if we were all to row the same direction at the same time. So my question for you is if like, you had the power and you could give every single distributor and every company and every brand in the world one belief shift, one shift simultaneously, every one of us across the world, what belief shift would you give them?
That we could change the world, that we could bring our perspective. In this industry, there's no isms here. There's no racism here. There's no sexism here. There's no what religion, like we don't care. None of that matters. I got wealthy with a Bangladesh gentleman, to an Indian person, to a Jewish person. I've been to the mosque. I've been to the synagogue, all in the same day. I mean, that's what's so beautiful about this industry, is all the weird things that are going on of like, we're completely accepting. We accept everybody for wherever they are because we see where they can go, not where they are right now. From the homeless guy that we're looking at saying, hey, listen, you can change it tomorrow if you just spend a little time with us. And I think that's where we have such a gift, is not only who we become along the way and what we can do to influence others, but it's our perspective on other people. We don't care if you're French, if you're from Mexico, we love you all. Yeah, you're Canadian. We love Canadians, right? We are the United Nations of opportunity in this industry.
It's a beautiful shift, a powerful shift, and I love that vision. Patrick, this has been an amazing conversation. We've covered a lot of topics that I know will be super impactful no matter who listens to this and what season they're in. Any closing thoughts that you want to give before we round out today's conversation?
Look, I mean, I think one is you have people in this industry above you that would love to be able to coach and mentor you. I think that's a big lesson for me, was not be intimidated to go to the person that was having all the success and just say, I don't need your time. I just need a little direction every once in a while. And that gave me quantum leaps of success because they've been there and done it 1,000 times. They were there 1,000 times. That's why Jordan had a coach and Kobe had a coach and you know what I mean? And all of the greats have a coach, and there's a coach built into this industry. And I said, go to the best person, the top person, and don't expect them to spoon feed you, but just ask them for a little bit of adjustment here and there. And I promise you, they're going to take you under their wing and they're going to do something great. And don't let a great recession pass you by. You know what I mean? Don't let an opportunity that won't happen again anytime soon. You're in it right now. And if you're on the fence in the industry, get off the fence and get in. And if you're in the industry, like, ourselves, it's time to find another gear. I mean, you're going to look back and go, I wish I would have worked harder for the season I'm in right now, because you're going to 10X what you're currently doing just based on the economy.
I love it. Patrick Major, everybody. Patrick, thank you for the time. So many nuggets. And for everybody that dedicated your time, the most valuable thing you have. I know today's conversation for all of us, it was a gift. And this is one that you're going to want to go back and re-listen to. This is one that you're going to want to share. Patrick shared some nuggets that I know if you not only hear, but you implement and share. This is the key to long-term, right? Long-term sustainable success from someone that's done it at the highest level for 17 straight years. So thank you guys for the time. This is a gift that you can now share. If you got value from this, the only reason we're doing this today is to make an impact. And the only way we know we did our role is you let us know. So make sure you come drop by the podcast, leave a review, right? Leave a rating. That helps get this conversation in front of even more people to make a bigger impact. And obviously share this conversation with others, because you never know who's going to be that next individual that one of the things that Patrick shared resonates. That was the shift. That was the aha that allows them to rise during this time. So Patrick, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for everything you do for this channel, everything you do for families, and thank you for the time today.
Hey, thank you so much. It's been an honor to be here and serve this community, and excited about the future here together.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.